The students of Abena Atta Girls and Boys Senior High, an elite mixed boarding school in the bustling city of Accra, were in chaos. Screams echoed through the rain-drenched halls as water streamed across the tiled floors. Amafowaa, known among her peers as Witch, stood in the center of the school's assembly hall. Her transformation was undeniable. Her shimmering mermaid tail stretched behind her, and her glowing eyes held a fiery fury. A sudden thunderclap rattled the skies, and the walls of Abena Atta Girls and Boys Secondary began to crack ominously. The heavy iron gates of the school slammed shut as if moved by unseen hands, trapping both students and teachers inside. Amafowaa's voice rang out, shaking the very air. "Afwa, do you understand what you've done?" Afwa, trembling in a puddle of rainwater, fell to her knees. I didn't mean it. Please forgive me." Amafowaa's eyes burned with rage. "Forgive? After years of bullying and torment? You poured water on me in front of everyone, knowing the consequences. Now, you'll face the punishment you deserve." Afwa screamed for her parents, but no help came. Amafowaa stepped forward, her tail gliding across the water-soaked floor. With a blinding flash of light, both girls vanished. The storm outside intensified, and students ran through the school compound in panic. Teachers, confused and terrified, tried to restore order. Mr. Kwaku Owusu, the headmaster, stood in disbelief as Madam Esi Mensa, the school counselor, relayed what had happened. "A mermaid? This must be a prank," Mr. Owusu exclaimed, though his unease was clear. Before the teachers could gather themselves, reporters arrived in droves, their cameras flashing and microphones thrust toward anyone they could find. "Headmaster Owusu, is it true that one of your students turned into a mermaid?" asked one bold journalist. Mr. Owusu, struggling to maintain control, shook his head. "There are no mermaids here. It was likely a costume or an optical illusion. Let's not entertain superstitions." But rumors spread like wildfire. Back in the city, Kwabena, Amafowaa's father, turned pale as he watched the news. Breaking news: student transforms into mermaid at Abena Atta Girls and Boys Senior High. "Afia," he called to his wife, who hurried from the kitchen. Her hands trembled as she heard the report. "Kwabena, it's her. It's Amafowaa," Afia whispered, tears streaming down her face. Kwabena grabbed his car keys. "We're going to the river. Now!" Amafowaa and Afwa reappeared underwater, surrounded by the dazzling blues and greens of the Oda River. Amafowaa's shimmering tail glowed as she swam gracefully, her memories flooding back. "This is where I belong," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. From the depths, a radiant figure emerged, the river goddess Mermaid, Amafowaa's mother. Her flowing hair and commanding presence filled Amafowaa with peace. "My child," Mermaid said, pulling Amafowaa into a loving embrace. "You were never meant to live among humans. Welcome home." Afwa, on the other hand, flailed helplessly, her cries echoing through the water. "Please, I didn't mean to hurt her," Afia begged. Mermaid turned to her, her expression hard. "You tormented my daughter for too long. Now, you must face justice." She signaled to two mermen, who dragged Afwa toward a glowing coral prison. Back in Kumasi, Kofi and Urama, Afwa's parents, stormed into the headmaster's office, demanding answers. The tension between Afwa's and Amafowaa's families escalated into a heated argument, nearly breaking into violence. But for Amafowaa, the human world was already far behind. She swam alongside her new family, her heart at peace. The river goddess, however, had one final question. "What will you do with the others who wronged you, my child?" Amafowaa's eyes glinted. "I'll bring Esi and Evelyn here. They will learn their lessons, just as Afwa has." Under the water, the merfolk celebrated the return of their princess, their laughter and songs echoing through the currents. Above, the town of Accra remained in a state of disbelief and fear as whispers of the mermaid of Abena Atta Girls and Boys Senior High spread far and wide. The night was dark and silent until ESI's scream pierced the air. Trembling, She backed against her bed's headboard, her tear-streaked face frozen in terror. Amafowaa stood before her, her shimmering tail catching the moonlight, eyes cold and unyielding. "Scream all you want," Amafowaa said calmly. "No one will hear you." ESI sobbed, desperation etched across her face. "Please, I didn't mean to bully you. I was just following Evelyn. Please forgive me." Amafowaa's expression didn't soften. "Spare me your excuses. You enjoyed my suffering, and now you'll face the consequences." Before ESI could reply, Amafowaa placed her hand on her forehead. The room spun violently, and in an instant, ESI found herself submerged in the cold, dark sea. ESI gasped, her lungs burning, as she tried to make sense of her surroundings. A coral cage encased her, and around her swirled an eerie procession of sea creatures. She turned, spotting a familiar face in another cage. "Evelyn," she croaked. "You're here too." Evelyn looked up, her face hollow and defeated. "We're trapped, ESI," she whispered. "There's no escape from this torment." As if on cue, swarms of sea creatures surrounded them. Crabs, octopuses, and other slimy creatures crawled onto ESI, their pincers biting into her flesh. She screamed, her voice muffled by the water. "This is our punishment," Evelyn murmured, "and it's only the beginning." The next morning, ESI's mother knocked on her door, expecting her usual grumbles. When there was no response, she opened the door to find the bed empty. Panic set in as searches through the house and neighborhood turned up nothing. The police were called, but their investigations yielded no leads. Meanwhile, ESI's close friend, Amma, struggled with guilt and fear. She confessed to her parents that she, Evelyn, Amafowaa, and ESI had bullied Amafowaa. "She'll come for me next," Amma wailed. Her parents, shocked and furious, decided to take her to their pastor. On their way to church, a thick mist enveloped the road. Two radiant mermaids appeared, their forms both beautiful and terrifying. Amma's parents froze in shock, but before they could react, Amma vanished from the car. She reappeared in the sea, her heart sinking as she saw Amafowaa, ESI, and Evelyn in their cages. "There's no way out," ESI said weakly. As Amma reached for them, sea creatures swarmed her, pulling her into the same torment. Meanwhile, Amafowaa's parents, Abena and Amafowaa, sought the wisdom of Baba Mensa, the custodian of the sacred river. They confessed their failure to protect Amafowaa's secret and begged for her return. Baba Mensa performed a ritual to summon the river goddess. When the goddess emerged, she was furious. "You failed to keep your promise," she declared. "Amafowaa has returned to the sea, where she belongs." Amafowaa pleaded, tears streaming down her face. "Please, give us one more chance. We love her and tried our best." Amafowaa, hearing her parents' pleas from the depths, swam to the goddess. "Please, mother, forgive them," she said. "They don't deserve this pain. Let me return to them." The goddess hesitated, but eventually agreed. "You may go," she said sternly. "But if they fail you again, there will be no mercy." Amafowaa returned home, her parents embracing her with tearful joy. When questioned by journalists and police, Amafowaa cleverly explained her disappearance as a prank gone wrong, leaving no trace of her true identity. Back in the sea, Amafowaa decided the fate of her tormentors. She set an enchanted hourglass on the riverbank. "They'll remain in the sea for 20 years, she declared. "When the last grain of sand falls, they may return to their lives." The river goddess nodded. A wise choice. 20 years later, Amafowaa, ESI, Evelyn, and Amma emerged from the river, broken and humbled. They returned to their families, changed forever by their ordeal. As for Amafowaa, she and her parents relocated to Australia, where they lived peacefully, never looking back. But her tale remained a warning. Be kind, for you never know when someone like Amafowaa might be watching.